Okay. All right, so here we go. And in Zoom land, remember last time we had an issue where you guys couldn't see, right, the thing? So I just want to make sure that you guys will be able to see his presentation. Okay, so here is.
You downloaded that. You have to go to the PowerPoint.
There it is. Sorry. You ready?
But you have to hang on a second. You have to start the presentation with this thing right here.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong one.
There you
Sorry.
go.
Okay.
Share that. You share it again?
No. Thank God he's here.
I've done a few of these.
Which one is it?
That one.
This one. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Here we go.
Right. This is the interesting clicker. This will be interesting. All right. There we go. Need it. I'm going to start off with some fun photos. I'm so sorry. I'm late. The traffic was crazy. The traffic. So I actually came from South Orange County. I left at 5 just to beat the traffic. And I sat there in that Starbucks over there and worked on this. What's that? Oh yeah. I sat there in the Starbucks for about a couple hours. So me leaving my appointment at 11:15 a.m., hoping to make my next one by 11 a.m. Yeah, exactly. I hope interest rates don't get any higher. Interest rates.
That's a good.
Have you tried turning the economy off and then turning it back on again? Well, how about this is from this guy's creative. Reduced but not stupid or desperate. Experienced agent in a market shift. No offers, but I have a couple verbals and am showing it again to someone this afternoon who's already seen it 17 times. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Didn't know Pepto-Bismol was a color, but apparently it is.
That is actually cool.
Yeah. Keep calm and ignore what Zillow said it's worth. It is here. Holy smoke. Reminder, saying the word recession over and over does not make the housing market crash. Got it? If 2022 is toilet paper, I just added this. Yeah, it is. It's been a brutal, different year. Okay, so my introduction, quantitative economics, decision sciences major from UC San Diego and La Jolla. 31 years in the business, Orange County native, Cal Valley High School grad. And I do have 9 kids.
Wow.
I brought the 6 on the right. My wife brought the 2 on the upper left. We had them all the time, so I adopted hers and she adopted mine. And then we had that guy down there, Zeke. He's 4.5 and talks like a teenager. Calls me bruh.
You're lucky, that's a good term.
Bruh. Yeah, exactly. He's not totally a teenager yet. So yeah, we've been all over the press from the Financial Times, London, New York Times, everywhere in between. This year been kind of busy, and with various publications, and been on the news as well. Reports on housing, your local real estate snapshot. That is our company. This is what we do, and there's strength and power to data, and that's what we're trying to deliver to the agents and lenders that are out there, so that they can properly articulate what's really going on in the housing market. Because as you know, everybody has a narrative that they have an idea of what's going to go on in the market. Everybody thinks they're quantitative economics and decision science is major. Everybody has a giant opinion. Brothers, sisters, moms, dads, neighbors, soccer coaches, you name it. Everybody has an opinion when it comes to real estate. If you don't believe me, ask them what they think is going to happen with real estate, and they will tell you what's going to happen with real estate. So we don't necessarily focus on closed sales data. We do include it in our reporting, and it's part of our reports, but not a big fan of making plans based upon closed sales, because the market, as we know, is constantly changing and evolving, as we've just seen within this last month alone. So instead, we focus on the number of available homes to show your buyers today, that's called supply. And then demand, that's a snapshot of the last 30 days worth of escrow activity. So I'm looking at new escrow activity, last 30 days. And I can tell you what's happening real time prior to this closed sale stuff is so dated, but pending sales, you can see when it goes up and down really fast based upon rates and everything else. And this year has been quite wonderful in talking about that. So we have an expected market time. It's better than days on market. It's you place your home on the market, when are you going to open up escrow? And it's based upon the supply of homes and pending sales activity. It's not days on market. Days on market's a bunch of junk. It's always really low and it doesn't properly set the expectations what the market's really going to do. And please don't go by average days on market of closed sales data. That will definitely tell your sellers the wrong thing and the wrong expectations of what's expected in this marketplace. And I've written actual reports based upon that.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Is that because when you lower the price, they're getting a refresh on the days on market? Is that why days on market?
No, it has nothing to do with the pricing. It has to do more with at the ebb and flow of homes coming on the market, and a lot of stuff comes on that's new. They pull off, they come back on. It's a brand new listing, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's right.
And when there's a whole bunch of homes that come on the market, the market's actually going to slow if there's too many homes that come on the market all at once. But the average days of market is going to be a little muted and small. So it's just a horrible gauge as to what's going on in the marketplace, which is why I came up with expected market time when I was actually representing buyers and sellers back in the 90s. Because I used my quantitative economics for my own sellers and that type of thing. So our reports are used for the different meetings you have between buyers and sellers, getting price reductions. This is the definite year of the price reduction. And here, I'll push this thing on to the side too. And I think I even talked about price reductions last time I was here, and you guys were sitting there, and it's coming, and it did happen. And it's getting buyers off the fence. Stop talking about the pending crash that's going to happen. I can properly set expectations, and that's how they should go about their negotiations. And it's just about more transactions for you guys by properly setting expectations for buyers, sellers, everybody out there. Even if they don't decide based upon what they see that they don't want to do anything yet, you've given them the information where they're going to refer you to everybody else, because you're actually giving them information that will help them make good decisions. And we have reports that dot all over Southern California. I'm almost done with the Bay Area report. It's 9 counties into one report because the counties are so ridiculously tiny that I'm lumping them all together, and they each have, there's different charts for each of them. That's been a labor of love. So at the very beginning, these are what the charts, the reports have been like so far this year. And I'm not going to go over all of them because we do 26 during the year, and that would be a lot to go over. But I'm going to go over the main ones really quick. Unprecedented start. Remember, at the very beginning of the year, and even in March when I was here, there were enough available homes on the market. It was the lowest number of homes ever in Los Angeles County, you know, dating back to like caveman days practically. But we just didn't have enough homes on the market in all of LA. It was like 4,286 homes on the market. That's not enough for how big LA is. It's the biggest metro in the United States, biggest county. So with that, it was the hottest market we've ever had at the beginning of the year. It was hot from day one, which is why you placed a home on the market on New Year's Day and people wanted to go see it. It was so ridiculous. It beat last year, which beat 2013, and 2013 was the last time we saw anything that was even close to what we just experienced over the last 2 years. Will it slow in 2022? So I wrote this in February, and I brought it to you guys as what needed to happen, and that's exactly what happened. What I detailed in that report. From that, we got housing cracks, and I didn't mean the kind where we're gonna implode. There's a pivot in the metrics. And then the sky not falling. So because everybody heard about the cracks, they thought everything was going to go to hell in a handbasket. So I had to write this report to so buyers would have proper expectations. Affordability challenges. Affordability has been the real issue this year, and I'll show you what that means. It is gnarly right now across the United States. You wonder why things are really slowing down. It has everything to do with affordability. And I know a lot of you deal with cash. Well, they're dealing with the same thing on the cash side of the equation, because a lot of them are fully leveraged across with a lot of equities and working the stock market, and those aren't doing that awesome either. So that they've also been suffering with these higher rates because it's all the same thing. And we have high rates and equities are having a problem because of what the Fed's doing. Values will not plunge. Compared the Great Recession to where we are today, there's a big stark difference between the housing stock prior to the Great Recession and then where we are right now. And so it's easy to talk about if values won't plunge because of that. What a difference a year makes, comparing this year to last year, 2021 to 2022, with inventory and demand, big difference. And then I talked about low supply versus low demand. We do have very, very low demand right now. It's like Great Recession demand. It actually ties a lot of the years during the Great Recession. However, it is pit against still not enough homes on the market. And hunkering down, this is the latest trend. I'll tell you what that is momentarily. It's the most recent one that just came out a week ago yesterday. It was sky high rates. And I'm gonna pull a chart out of that so you guys can see what that is. So this stuff is really good right now for the sellers because the sellers need to understand what's going on so they price it right so they can actually do what they need to do. So I'm a total nerd. This is what I do. Somebody asked me how's this year been. It's been just absolutely beyond busy. Do 2 to 3 presentations every single day and been on the news and don't really sleep much because this is like the Super Bowl for somebody that does economics. Because economics is constantly changing. Matter of fact, that's all I listened to on here was a podcast with an hour and a half long on bonds. I had to rewind it over and over again because I just absolutely love this stuff. So my economic model, I do follow an economic model, but what I refer to it as is a progressive model, especially this year. Constantly changing. Every time the Fed opens their mouth every single month or every other month, they say something that is even where they are pulling out more weapons. And a lot of the weapons are just them getting on the soapbox and telling everybody what they're going to do. So you have to constantly evolve in this. So reportsonhousing.com, that's where you go to subscribe. And it's $15 per month or $150 per year. You'll get a free month. And I'll get to that at the very, very end. But this is where you're going to need this kind of a report. This report is kind of like Google Maps, got me right here, got off this exit, pulled up a Starbucks right down the street. It was really easy because of Google Maps. That's the way that I look at the report that I put together because it will accurately tell you what's going on. You can give it to your buyers, sellers, everybody else so that they can make really good, smart decisions. And this is also the year where I'm glad there are so many people in here. This is not the year to be sticking our head in the sand and pretend nothing's happening. And it's definitely not the year to sit around the coffee well and talk about how woe is me and how horrible the market is, because this is the market. The market has been screwy since 2020, and it has not changed, and it's not going to change anytime soon. So we need to know what's going on so we can properly make decisions and know what we need to do in order to win in this office. So oops, I don't know why I went that way. I don't even know how to go backwards. So let's see. We'll go back when I get back there, but we're going to go over the great deceleration. We'll get into the other thing later. I don't know how to go back. Let's see if I can go back.
On the keyboard.
Oh, there we go. Never mind. I'm there. There we go. Now I know how to go back. So inflation and higher rates. CPI is actually CPI is coming out this week, coming out on Thursday. Thursday at like 5:30 in the morning. If you're keeping track and you want to know what's going on with CPI, I think everybody should wake up, set your alarm, 5:30 in the morning. I'm going to. I'm going to see what's going on. Kind of excited to see what's going to happen. The one that came out last month was way too hot. Again, we had inflation that was higher than what expectations were. Core was supposed to be 6.1. It said it was 6.32. That's all I really care about is falling core. The whole thing, it just means that we're paying a lot more for a good period. The biggest piece of this core inflation is housing. Housing is a big chunk of it, and it's not what we do in this room, it's rental housing. And rental housing, unfortunately, right now, rental housing is kind of like hit a plateau, and it's not going down, but it's not going up like it was before. However, it doesn't hit this index for many months, probably not till January and February of 2023. So that means we have to wait for CPI to really come down because remember what's gone on with rental inflation, it's actually gone way up. And we're still absorbing that. We'll be absorbing that through the rest of the year. So I don't know what we're gonna get on Thursday. So know that the Fed should know this, but they're acting like they're just reading this, and that's the way that they're behaving right now. So hopefully they figure that out, but they know that there's a lag to what they're seeing in the data right now today. Will show us later on. Bless you. So the Fed's done everything in their power to fight this inflation. And understand, if people are really mad at the Fed for what they're doing, I'm now right now think they're a little nutty. They're going way too hard, way too fast, but they have to get control of inflation. So this is, in case you're wondering, this is what the Federal Reserve looks like in Washington, D.C. and them getting around in the big giant table and talking about nothing but geeky things like what I do. That's it. They totally nerd out. So, and I don't know if you've heard them talk, but they sound like a bunch of nerds when they're talking, that's for sure. But they come out, especially since August, because August, remember, we had interest rates that went down to 5%. We got a little bit of a bump in demand. And then also equities were doing really well that month of August. And the Fed was freaking out because they don't need that. They want to slow down the economy, not to make it any better. So they came out with guns blazing at Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And they came out and they talked 8 minutes, no Q&A afterwards, and said, we're going to cause a lot of, oops, went the wrong way. We're going to cause a lot of pain. And it talked about pain for the consumers and pain for companies. In real estate land, we've already been feeling the pain because we're directly linked to everything that they're doing. It is by far, feels recessionary, only recessionary for housing, not for the overall economy. Recessionary for housing, not because prices are plunging, it's because we're doing far fewer units. So they came out guns blazing, and they've been ratcheting up the short-term target rate. You can see we've been a lot higher before, and everybody talks about, yeah, I remember when interest rates were at like 9% or 10%. You guys don't even know. We've had interest rates that are way higher. However, we haven't had prices that high. So when you plug in any of these interest rates at where the high prices are today, it's already out of bounds at 7%. Any higher, and it just becomes absolutely ridiculous. But know that this is where they're at on the right-hand side. And if I draw a line across, they're at 3.25%. That's where they are for the short-term rate. Short-term rates are credit card debt, automobile loans. They are not long-term loans. Long-term loans that we deal with absorb everything that the Fed is going to do. And as a matter of fact, the reason why rates have come up even more is because when the Fed came out last month and did a 3/4 point bump, they actually said even more. They said they're even going to go higher next year. So because of that, that's why we saw interest rates go up, continue to go up over since they started to talk. So this is what the Federal Reserve. So some gal from CNN actually asked the question that all economists were wanting to know. And that's because he said, we're going to reset the housing market. He said that in June. And we were going, okay, what's that mean? They're going to reset the housing market. I don't know how they reset the housing market. We know that they were directly linked. So that means they're going to be very aggressive. But what does he mean by that? So I'm paraphrasing because he went on and on and on about what he's going to do. And I did that for one of my YouTube lives. If you want to hear everything that had to say, just look up my YouTube channel, Reports on Housing, and you'll see everything that they said. So what we need is supply and demand to get better aligned so that the housing prices go up at a reasonable level and that people can afford houses again. They talked about people paying way over asking price. That's just absolutely ridiculous, according to the Fed, and everybody probably in this room now thinks that.
It was a slide ago, but when you said that interest rates increasing, not nearly as high as they've been, but paired with high prices, I assume, but you're taking into account that the time value of money or inflation over time.
Sure. Yeah.
Pricing. So really what you're talking about is affordability.
Affordability, I'm taking into consideration not only rates, not only values and homes, incomes as well.
Yeah.
So when you put all that together, boom, you get how much of your monthly income is being devoted to exercising a monthly mortgage payment. So we probably in the housing market need to go through a correction to get back to that place. You know what he means by correction? That's values down 10 to 20%. That's actually it's taking into consideration inflation. So that doesn't mean we plunge down 20%. But this difficult correction should put the housing market back into better balance. So now we know what he means. And overall, they want the economy to slow. And one of the big economic engines for making that slow is housing. And that's where the big direct link is to what they're doing. And they want to see things slow down. They want to see something break. And what they're looking for is job openings to come down. It's gone from 11 million to 10 million job openings. 10 million is still a record. That was last week that we found out that they're coming down. But there were for every person looking for a job, there was 2 job openings. That's ridiculous. So that's way too many jobs for the amount of people looking. They want to bring that back down. They want more unemployment and bring the job openings down so it's more paired 1-to-1. And that's what they're driving for. So they're looking at job openings and they're kind of getting what they want. It's going in the right direction, but know that 11 million, 10 million, still way too high. Unemployment is what they're watching. If that breaks, we see actually, did you hear on Friday, unemployment actually went down, went the wrong direction. So when they do that, what does that mean the Fed's got to do? It's got to do more. And we'll find out what with CPI this Thursday, what they're going to do next. And then consumer spending. By the way, stop spending money. Seriously, we all just went on strike and stopped spending money for a few months. It would give them the idea that, hey, we're not spending as much, because guess what? We're spending a lot. We're actually spending more than where we were prior to the pandemic, and it's following a normal line, and they want to see that this goes down. So that's what the Fed is after in slowing things down. Now, this is interest rates going over the last 51 years. Every line is the difference in an interest rate for the year. And this is that's 1980. We had the biggest change at the very beginning in 1980 of interest rates, but then they came all the way back down. And I'm going to tap over there. Okay. Step there for a second. And this is 2022. It's looking very similar to 1981. And I didn't think we'd get this high, but that's because the Fed has continuously pivoted and keep on being more and more aggressive every time they talk. And within the last couple of months, they got extremely aggressive because they did not like to see what happened in August. They don't want to see that the economy is getting hotter. So this is 10-year treasury. People go, why do you follow 10-year treasury? If you're a lender, you understand 10-year treasury, the appetite of the investor that's looking at 10-year treasuries is similar to the appetite of that same investor looking at mortgage-backed securities. So 30-year mortgages, they're kind of tied. When this goes up, mortgage-backed securities go up, so do interest rates. So when this goes down, so do interest rates. Remember, during the Great Recession, we were below 1%. That's why we had interest rates in the 2s. Now it's all the way up towards 4%, and it keeps on driving up. As a matter of fact, it's driven all the way up from here. This is January to right over there. What that means is it's gone from, can't really see that, 1.51%, which is really low, all the way up to 3.91%. That is as of today. And it went a little bit higher a couple weeks ago, slightly, but it's very similar. So it's bouncing right below that 4% line, which is good. I don't want to see it break above that, but we were at that 3% line in August, and it's already come up another whole percent since August. So these are interest rates. This is as of this morning. They finally updated it. This is Mortgage News Daily. Remember, don't panic. This is actually if you put like 10% down and you're not paying points, which is some people, not everybody, but there are some people out there. So know that you could do better there. You can do buy downs and different things like that. But this is done on a daily basis. And why do I want to follow it on a daily basis? Because Freddie Mac follows it and it's a week. It comes out on Thursday and it's 1 week. There's way too much volatility to be following it on a week. Rates are changing daily. And as a matter of fact, they're changing many times during the day.
You're worried about mortgage lenders going out business.
There will be some of that. And that's only because it just depends upon, if you know mortgage lenders that were heavily on the refi side, well, then they're going to have a bit of an issue. And you guys have heard probably some mortgage people that have come up to you within the last many months, and all of a sudden they came out of nowhere because they were working refi and now they want relationships. You know anybody? That type of thing. You know anybody I can work with? All the lenders out there that were working with you already understood that you need to balance it out. It's not just refi, it's a good balance. And yes, refis can be good, but you can see what happens when refis die, and they definitely have they're absolutely non-existent. Very, very few. And so we haven't been at 7.14% when I go all the way backwards in time since April of 2002. That's a long time ago. And This is where mortgage rates have gone from the beginning of this year. We were at 3.25% all the way up to 7.14%. That's a big change, right?
Chills.
Yeah,
Horrible.
seriously. So, and there's a lot of people talk about a recession. I know some people think that there's a recession. Yeah.
Out and if we're trouble, I think this is like the best time ever for our clients. We wouldn't even get access to that from agents. This was the time that we were out as buyer agents and selling agents
Sure.
to get the best deal possible for our client, negotiate on appraisal, negotiate traditional repairs, all this stuff. It's all framed. So if we come in with the mindset that this sucks or this is terrible, we're just gonna track more of it, our clients feed off of that, and then we just find that in the field.
Yeah.
I just got a $45,000 reduction off that with a 2-1 buy down for a client. Usually $1 million in this neighborhood, let's build selling for our client for $950. Right? So there's motivated sellers out there, motivated listing agents, and we're bringing the clients, and we can be on both ends of that.
Absolutely.
Keeping that framework, especially for the brand newest people, that this is all you guys know, and this is where you guys crush it. Compared to someone who's waiting for the rates to come in, we'll wait 36 months before we get to something that will supercharge the economy while we starve, or we can get to thrive mode and take the market share in the mind space day after day after day.
Yeah, absolutely. I got into business in, yeah, I got into business in 1991, and that was the beginning of a recession. And I knocked on doors, and people go, "You're crazy." And I got listings, and people go, "What are you doing?" Somebody's like spoon feeding you or something. Oh, I was knocking on doors, and people were saying, "Come list me." And I looked like I was 10. I had dark hair. I had glasses to look older because my face looked really young, and I still was able to get. And I did cold calls, door knocking, and all the ridiculous things that you're supposed to do as agents when things are slow. And I worked a lot of open houses. But that's, hey, right now, I want to work with a good buyer that's looking right now. That's a great place to mine. And I used to do it every day during the week. And if I did that every day during the week, I got one person that would definitely be a good buyer in that situation. So there's plenty of ways to do it. This is, and I'll get into that. I will tell you my thinking on this market and how to approach it. But there is definitely a recession ahead. I have a 6 flag yellow flags that go up. It's a recessionary model. All 6 flags went blazing in August. So we haven't been in a recession yet, and the recession is coming. When is it coming? I have no idea. No one does. It's probably within the first 6 months of 2023. Someplace there. We just don't know where it is. We are already doing that here. As a matter of fact, if we get so recessionary that the Fed really does have to pivot, even though they say they're not going to, we could see interest rates get down to 4.5% again, which would fuel us, which is what we do. So be of that mindset that doesn't matter. There's going to be a lot of moving parts here and things will look better. It's not going to slow down any more than where it's at right now. That's for darn sure. And then technical recession. So during the first 2 quarters, if you look way over here on the right-hand side, I think I have an arrow there. Yeah, a little arrow. There's 2 little blips down, and that's because it was 2 negative quarters. A lot of it had to do with inventories. It's not really a recession. It's I know that's textbook 101 econ, but we throw that out because it didn't make sense. Because real GDP was down slightly, and this is that slightly amount, but employment was actually positive. It continues to be positive. Consumer spending is positive. It continues also, and so does personal incomes have been up, and industrial production is only slightly down. It's not yet looking recessionary.
Same mindset that rates are going up to end of the year or first quarter 2023, and then they're going to drop drastically in second, third quarter of 2023.
I believe me, I would love to predict where interest rates are going to go, but let me tell you, I do have a slide for that coming up, and it's so difficult to predict where they're going to go. I can tell you, when you're working with clients, do not tell them that interest rates will go down in 6 months from now or something like that. They can refinance. Have them totally be in love with whatever the payment is. Go find them a house, and then bonus if rates go down and they can refinance. Because how many times can they refinance? Many as they want.
Well, that's what you're right. A lot of buyers saying that rates are going to go down. Let's get buying now while interest rates are high and prices are lower, and then refinance down to 5% next summer.
Yeah, I would advise that. I would advise instead to go into a seller, kind of what he talked about, and get the seller to pay points. Get that rate down. There's plenty of ways to do that. So, and by the way, interest rates are really high, but they come way down if you pay points. And the reason for that is because they're worried that people are gonna refi, but if you pay a lot of points, they're getting money up front. They're stoked. And that helps out the whole entire situation and enables that interest rate to get way down. 2-1 buy downs, but I would say buy down that interest rate period for more than 2 years. That's how I would approach it. So, yeah.
I just, I closed one of my listings whereby my seller paid points to his buyer, and we closed just because of a 2-1 buy down, so I would definitely advise people to exercise all these programs that are available to offset these crazy rates.
Yeah, you can throw that at somebody that's where the gap's too wide, but you can bring that gap down by throwing in points, and it's huge. It's absolutely huge. It's great. You think in March when I came here, there's no way you'd be thinking that any seller was going to be paying points. No way. They would do nothing. Zero. They wanted to rent back for 3 months for free. So interest rates go anywhere from 5 to 7.5%. And next year they can even go down to 4.5%. But the reason why there's such a big gap, my gosh, we've already been there from August to today. We've gone from 5% all the way to 7.5% in rates. That's how big of a change there's been. And at 5%, it slightly favors sellers in negotiations, as we started to see very quickly, but it evaporated in August. But at 7.5%, it slightly favors buyers. If it goes above 7.5% towards 8%, I'm going to get rid of slightly, and it just favors buyers. Because already it's kind of feeling like a buyer's market, and I'll get into that in a second. But if you want to know exactly where rates are going to be, right here, this is what we do. We drink beers and we throw some darts. Because that's how I'm serious. It is extremely difficult. Fed doesn't even know where interest rates are going to be. Nobody knows how this is all going to play out. The uncertainty is too large. So that's why I'm going to go with what I certainly know right now. So I'm going to qualify based upon what what payments are right now today. And then if I get a bonus down the road, I get a bonus. I can refi down the road. So let's now get into the great deceleration. So everyone likes to put great in front of everything. And this is what it's actually being referred to as the great deceleration. So, but know that it's all because interest rates are going from 3.25 to, I should change that now, 7.14% as this morning. And what happens when interest rates go up? I kind of went over this in March, and this is what happens. Demand falls. So that's what we've seen. Demand falls. And then because demand falls, you have the same number of people coming on the market. Some of these homes just stagnate on the market longer, and the supply accumulates. So supply goes up. And then market times get longer. It takes longer to sell a house. That's the expectations that everybody should have that I talked about back in February. Now, the payment to income ratio across the United States, this is for across the US, not just in California. It's right now at 36.6% of the incomes, our monthly incomes are being devoted to the monthly payment based upon where we are affordability wise today. If we go, the last time we were here was the mid-80s. So we're not used to even seeing something like this, something like this. Some of you in this room aren't even, you were born after the mid-80s. So.
Not so much.
Like me. Like me. So this was the beginning of the year. This was even March when I was coming in, is the feeding frenzy. But what happened was in the background, because there were 50 buyers or 100 buyers for every house that was on the market. People said you couldn't even gauge demand. You're right. Nobody could gauge demand. No one had any idea how many buyers in the marketplace. So it was like that. But then as interest rates continued to go up, what happened was the number of fish, the number of buyers started to drop. And then we got to June, and that's where there were even fewer buyers in the marketplace because of where rates had gone. It's just a lot of people back up. If somebody was looking for a house in January, and now they're looking for a house in June, the payment went up so much that they were just discouraged. That's why if you're working with a buyer that's brand new to the market today and they don't know any better or anything else and they qualify, they're really stoked. They're working with everybody. They're all stoked. Those are the people we should be working with. The people that are complaining and moaning and don't sound like they're going to be doing anything, or they want a deal or they want too big of a deal. Those are the people that we have to start to get to the root of, are they going to be able to execute in this marketplace? Supply increases because of like her and everybody else that wants every last dollar. That's really what it is. There's a lot of greed that's out there, so they end up pricing it out of bounds. That property that looks like a dog, smells like a dog, it has dog hair going up the side of the stairwell, it needs to be priced like a dog. That's it. Unfortunately, over the last 2 years, you were able to place a dog on the market and there's nothing else available, and they tell you what they thought it should be listed at, and you'd be scratching your head going, no way is it getting that. And then you get like 10 offers on it and it still went $20,000 above the asking price. That's what the market was like. So you could get rid of the dog really fast. And then we had these properties that backed up or fronted busy streets. Those two, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. You could place it on the market. There's nothing on the market, and people just so eager that they would overpay for even the property that had an inferior location. Today, it needs to be priced like it has an inferior location. And then you just got the people that come out overpriced. I actually had these names earlier this year. Sign company. I think this is great for when you're sitting down at the seller's table, seriously, and say, yeah, we're going to discuss price. Stephen Thomas said for me to bring this because a lot of people are starting out that way, and we do not want to ruin our market time by coming out overpriced. We need to come out swinging. And I would spend 3 hours with them at the listing presentation, trying to get them at the right price. I'm not kidding you, convincing them with data and stats and everything else that they do the right thing. Otherwise, you're going to be doing that for the next 4 to 6 months. Or they come off the market, pull their home off the market right around the holidays. Now you just wasted your time. So that's why I made these very, very visual. So at the end, you can give me your card and I will pick one out and somebody will have it. I had a whole bunch of these made, although I had 3 months that I waited for these because they didn't have the PVC because it was on back order because of supply chain issues. Seriously, that is true story. So a lot of them are overpriced. That's just what it is. And what's happened that's weird is, okay, 2013 and 2018, and this is what I mapped out in February and what I talked about with you guys, is interest rates, when they go up like they did in 2013, they went up from here to here. And as a result, we had the inventory in 2013 go up. And we grew and grew. And normally we peak right over here when that happens. A normal peak is during the summer between July and August, because then the kids go back to school and there are fewer sellers and there are fewer buyers. It's a natural thing that happens. People transact all year long, but the families like to do it. They place their homes on the market in the spring and close during the summer. It's just the normal phenomenon of real estate. And then in you can see the dotted yellow line. That is this year in interest rates. And you can see this solid yellow line, that is this year in inventory. Well, for some reason, it didn't peak. I mean, it peaked and it already started to level out. And this is where we are right now. Oops, I don't know why I did that. Okay. And part of the reason that this didn't continue to go up and peak in October is because of the fact that we had rates that came down a little bit. We got a little bit more demand, but that doesn't really answer it completely, because even right now, it's still not going way up. And we have interest rates that are the highest, like I said, since 2002. So there's a new trend that emerged. And I've been following this since COVID. And this new trend is, see this awesome couple drinking coffee? They're hunkering down. They're staying in their house. She's pregnant, they're in a townhome and they need it. They wanted a yard and that type of stuff, even for their dog, but they're not going to do it. And the reason they're not going to do it is because they did the math. And when they sell their place and they get something else, property taxes is such a giant leap. That's number one. We were able to do it when interest rates were lower. That's part of the reason. So we need to understand why the homeowners aren't placing their homes in the market, because there's a big impact on affordability because of interest rates. If you're looking at a mortgage payment on $1 million home at the beginning of this year, you're looking at $4,352. Today, it's about a little bit, probably around $6,700 per month. That's an extra $28,000 per year. That's just from the start of this year to where we are today. So that's really what's going on, is the big change in interest rates has impacted affordability. And people might not, they might want to make a move, but for whatever reason, but they're so, might not be in love with their home, but they're definitely in love with their home. They love their loan. They absolutely love it. Many people refinance. I refinance. I feel like I got a killer deal that bought my house in 2019. I refied in 2021 and was super happy with the amount of money I'm saving on a monthly basis. So the number of mortgages below 4% or lower is 65%. 65% of all mortgages across the United States have an interest rate of 4% or lower. So the higher interest rates get up, the more it keeps people in their seats. And 24% have an interest rate of 3% or lower. So that's what's keeping them from doing it. What this means is that there are fewer people that will ultimately list. And as a matter of fact, the number of new listings, this is the orange line. This is where we are right now. You can see this is every year the number of listings that come on a monthly basis. You can see COVID, that's the green line. That's when we just shut everything down. We wonder, are we ever going to be able to sell real estate again? Well, we figured it out. Just like buyers, even today in this market, are figuring things out with buy downs and things like that. So this is where it is right now compared year over year. There's a new trend. You can see we're way off. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at the number of homes coming on the market compared to prior to COVID, 2017, 18, and 19, in 2020, we were missing 6,100 homes in Los Angeles County. That's 2020. 2021, down 1,700, only 2% off. Matter of fact, you guys placed the closest to where you were prior to COVID. And then this year came along, January to September, and we're missing 10,000, nearly 10,500 homes, off 14%. New trend. This is the new trend. And in the month of September, it's down 22% or 1,725 homes. By the way, I'll give you guys a copy of this presentation afterwards as well. So you don't have to worry about taking screenshots. But so Los Angeles County, this is the number of homes coming on the market. You can see what's happening on the right-hand side. It's really coming down. This is where normal is prior to COVID, and this is how far we are off. And you can see right now it is way off compared to where it's been in the past. So there are fewer people coming on the market. And so there's very, very low supply, and it's hit against this very, very low demand. And they're kind of like duking it out right now. And we do have a supply crisis in it still to this day. The only county that is almost to where they were prior is San Bernardino County. Everybody else we're still suffering with not enough homes on the market. And across the United States, the same thing. This actually came out yesterday. This is Altos Research. He does a YouTube thing. I'm one of the 400 people that watch this across the United States, but it's fascinating stuff. I'm going to show you what this is. This is 561,304 is the same as it was last week. We were actually, this was an inflection point. You can see right here, it went down and then it went up. The reason it started going up is because over the last 4 weeks, that was 4-week period of time, interest rates were going up. So it actually, even though fewer homes were coming on the market, we weren't placing as many into escrow. So it was allowing the inventory to actually still accumulate, even though so few people were coming on. But right now, within the last week, it actually has been flat, 561,000. Where should we be right now? Well, in 2019, we were at 955,000 at the time. You can see we're off from where we were prior to COVID. This is what I mean by low inventory. And I don't know where we're going to get the houses from. People say all the time, there's going to be a truckload of people that come on. There's going to be investors. There's going to be all these people. Who's going to come on? I don't understand that. So LA County, the supply, this is where we are right now. And if I draw a line across, you can see, and we're going to start to come down right now, but you could see that we've been a lot higher than where we are today. And this is only since I started doing this in 2012. So you can see in 2012, I started in April. It was a lot higher way back when. And I'm only bringing up Orange County because I want to show you something. This is 2012 on. This is what you guys were just looking at over here. On the left, I've been following Orange County, and it's followed the same. All the counties follow the same little metrics. Across the United States does the same thing. But in Orange County, they're right now at about 3,700 homes on the market, less than 3,700 homes. In 2008, there were 18,000 homes on the market. That's what we call a supply glut. Too many homes on the market means that in order to sell, there are 50 people, and they all were upside down, and they all wanted to sell. They had to sell because they reset at these. They had these little teeter rate adjustable mortgages that started like at 1%, and they would qualify based upon that, and they could not afford their payment when it reset. So, and there's dogs and dead people that got loans. True, I'm not lying. And then in 2006, the year prior, that was 2007, actually, this is 2006, 16,000 homes on the market. So there was a lot of homes that we already saw beforehand, and that was a problem. There was a glut of homes because it was starting to cave. And in LA County, there was an inflection point, and this was September 1st, because from September 1st, when they came out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, they came out swinging the Fed, it totally changed things, and interest rates went way up. And as a result, you could see we peaked and we were going to continue to go down. It stopped going down. As a matter of fact, it's been flat and maybe a little bit up since. September 29th, we're at 10,868. That was last, let's see, that was actually 2 weeks ago almost. 0% or down 34 homes in a 2-week period of time. So normally it's going down slightly, but it was kind of flat. And last year we were at 8,128, which is a lot less than where we are today. Couple thousand over that. 3-year average is 12,290. That's 22% higher than where we are today. So that 3-year average prior to COVID, we should be at 12,000 homes in the market, 12,290, and instead we're at 10,868. Today we're at 10,840. Basically the same thing. We're just flatlined right now. Usually we're going down right now. So this is where I thought we were going to go. I thought we were going to go way up here and we get this inventory that would beat 2019. And finally, we'd have more homes on the market, which would be healthy. We all agree. I'm tired of dealing with this inventory problem that we've had. So instead, we peaked right around there towards the end of August for LA. And we're only going to be flat for right now. And then we're going to get to the holidays right around Thanksgiving. And a whole bunch of sellers will pull their homes off the market. They do it every single year. And fewer homes come on the market in the month of December, the fewest of the year. So as a result, we'll have the inventory plunge. That always happens in December. You can see it every single year. Even during the Great Recession, it did it. Always does it. And this is the percent number of homes that across the United States, single family residents detached that have reduced their price at least once, at 41.9%. So 42% of the United States reduced their asking price. In LA County, it's at 37%. You're the only county that's that low. That's actually low, but that's still higher than where we were. What normally where we are at this time is about 33%. So it's still above what we normally are prior to COVID. Low demand. This, remember this? It's like scary to even look at. Not that, if you look at it, they are all wearing masks too, socially distancing, going all the way down the street. This was a real photo taken from somebody in Carlsbad. That's gone. Thankfully, that's not the way we want to do real estate. We are not Australia and everything sells by auction. That's not the way we do it. We do it like this. This is healthy. This is a healthy, normal sign. I'm so glad to see it. If I see the same sign going to the same house for like 6 weeks in a row, we know they're overpriced. Everybody does. Everybody in the neighborhood knows. So, and they know it as well. And this is from my last report. I actually updated this just for you guys, so you guys could see what it looks like with an interest rate of 7.14%. So these are payments since 20, I think it's 20. I can't even see it. This move at all? Anyways, I think it is 2020. January 2020, we're at 4.03%, and we're looking at a $2,400 per month payment. And you can see, even when we got all the way over here towards January of 2021, we were still at $2,534 per month. And when we go all the way over here towards January 2022, now we're looking at about $3,215 per month. And then we got to June and it got to $4,407 per month for the median detached home in LA. And it's now at $5,192 per month. So this was normal for a long time. And then all of a sudden we're at $5,192 per month for the median detached home. That's where it's out of bounds. If you want to compare like for like, so we could use Orange County's median. They're at 1.2 million for the detached home. They're right now above $7,000 per month for the median detached home. That's too out of bounds, and that's what's going on as far as portability is concerned.
How much down were you putting on those? 20%.
Yeah, I think, let me see what I did on that. I think I did, can't remember if I did, I think it was 10% down.
Okay.
I think I did 10% just to see, because yeah, I think I did 10%. So rates impact on affordability. you can see if you're looking at $4,000 per month, once again, 10% down. The reason why I do 10% down is because we know we can do better on that with more money down. This is how you can show people that they could do it. But at 3.25% with a $4,000 per month monthly payment, just principal and interest, you were looking at $1,021,000 house at the beginning of this year. And today you're looking at a $667,778. So yeah, you just trimmed a big chunk. And that's why if you're looking at the beginning of January, now you're looking today, you could see you're looking at such a smaller house that's what made it prohibitive. That's why you might have some disgruntled clients, and that's why you go get some new ones that aren't. And there will be plenty of those that are out there. Go work some open houses, you will see. And this is the immediate sale. So we were selling things immediately for a long time. This line is 27% or higher. We're selling immediately. It's now down to 60% are selling immediately. So immediate sales is starting to really slow. And there's something else that's going on. This transfer of wealth. If you're working with a buyer, make sure that they're tapping everybody that they know. Because there is a giant transfer of wealth from baby boomers. And it started during the last 2 years where they were coming up with appraisal deficiencies, with deposits, with earnest money deposits, things like that, or even down payments. There were assistance. There was a lot that was going on. So there's a major transfer of wealth that's taken place, and the baby boomers are, for the most part, are loaded with cash. So there's been a transfer of wealth. So have them shake trees, find uncles, aunts, everybody else that's out there, because there will be some people that could help maybe with paying down points and things like that to make it a better interest rate. And that's what I heard from lenders, they're using it the most, is just to get their interest rate more favorable, which is what they all, of course, would want. So demand is the last 30 days worth of escrow activity. Once again, this is the inflection point. You can see demand rose a little bit during the month of August. Then we got to September 1st, and then since then has come down. And that's because rates went up. So September 29th, we were at 3,839. That is down 10% in a 2-week period of time, down 417 pending sales. That was the biggest drop in demand so far this year in a 2-week period of time. So that's what that was. I can't even see that. Last year, we were a lot higher. I can't see that at all. But just know that the red line is where we were last year at this time. The 3-year average is 5,135. That's 34% higher. And today we're at 3,673. That is 4% lower than where we were on September 29th. And 4,327 was on September 1st, and it's gone down 11% since. Normally during this time period, demand does fall because we're in the auto market, but it falls 4%. Instead, it fell 11%, and that's because interest rates went as high as they did. And so this is where we typically peak in demand. We actually peaked in March 17th when I was here was the actual peak of demand. And since then it came down because interest rates were going up in the background. And where are we going to go from here? It's going to continue to go down, and maybe not as quite as fast as it did over the last 4 weeks because we kind of settled. And then once we get to Thanksgiving, it will plunge like the inventory plunges because everybody's going to want to go enjoy the holidays. That's what it's all about. So including my wife, she pulled out all the fall stuff all over our house. So the speed of the market. This is, you can place your home on the market when you open up escrow, and you can see where we're at today. We've been higher than this recently. As a matter of fact, this was when we first went into COVID. Everything really slowed down. Market times really ballooned. This was 2018 when interest rates hit 5%. It was actually slower than where we are even today. So the expectations of sellers coming on is not that it's going to be slower than 2018 or like the Great Recession. That's not what this chart says at all. That means if you price it right, you can hit pay dirt pretty quick. I'm bringing up Orange County again because remember I go back to 2004, and in 2007 we had interest rates that were above not interest rates. We had an expected market time that was above 400 days. 400 days, and that was Orange County. All counties were very, very similar to each other. They still are today. So know that you're taking over a year based upon the market back then. And a year prior, I knew that there was a problem. Actually, in the fall of 2005, this was 2006, we had an expected market time of over 200 days. So keep that in mind when I go over this next slide, because Los Angeles on March 17th, when I was here, was at a 30-day expected market time for all of LA County. It was your lowest level of the year. This was the inflection point that I keep on telling you about, September 1st. look at, we were supposed to go flat. That's normally what we do, but when interest rates continue to go up, what happened to expected market time? It actually grew. It's taken a little bit longer than it was since September 1st. On September 29th, we were at 85 days. It went up 6 days in a 2-week period of time. Last year, we were at 39 days at the same time period. So a lot hotter than where we are. And the 3-year average is 79 days. And today we're at 89 days, went up another 4. So since September 1st, we've gone from 74 days to 89 days. So that's a 15-day swing. So it's definitely, you came on the market then, you were looking at about 74 days. You come on the market right now, you're looking at about 89 days, which is still better than 200 or 400, right? So this is where we are right here. Below 90, between 60 and 90 is actually what I refer to as a slight seller's market. And that's where we are. You can see right here is where we should have gone above here, which would be balanced. And I thought above 120 is actually a buyer's market, slight buyer's market. We should have gone up in the slight buyer's market by the time we got to right about now. But we are going above into that balanced area where it doesn't favor buyers or sellers. And below 60 is a hot seller's market, by the way, and below 40 is an insane market. We were below 40 or at 40 for a long time, for a very, very long time. It was an insane market that we were dealing with. We all know that. And then let's see. So Calabasas, when I was here last, this is when I was here last. And I actually go into all these places that they mid-March. I looked and I was here exactly mid-March, because that's pretty much all of SoCal. Calabasas was at a 36-day expected market time. Today it's at 80. Agoura Hills was at 21, now is at 54. Hidden Hills, 130 to infinite. What does infinite mean? Within the last 30 days when I snapped, this was actually nothing that went in escrow within a 30-day period of time. So that's what we refer to as infinite. Actually, some people like to put not applicable. You might not want to show that to a client. West Hills, 16 to 82 days. And Canoga Park, can't read it. So I will give it to you guys, unreadable. Winnetka, 21 to 81 days. Reseda from 20 to 86 days. Encino from 36 to 173 days. I don't know what's going on in Encino. They're stubborn, huh? Then don't knock on their doors. I'm gonna go here to Agoura Hills. Tarzana, 19 to 74. And Woodland Hills from 20 to 81. You can see things are definitely deteriorated slower, but it's not 200 or 400.
It's all because companies don't want to adjust their prices. They still think it's stable.
That's too bad, because they're going to be pulling their homes off the market, and then you guys can go after expires and cancels withdrawals. Knock on them, because you have a better program for whoever that they're currently with.
You have a slide for cancellation rates?
I didn't. It's up like 185%, but last year we did none. So when you compare it from last year to this year, it looks ridiculous. It's kind of like comparing, because we're going up in the number of distressed, and distressed is up, but we're not even prior to where we were prior to the pandemic. So it's up, but it's not.
I researched San Fernando Valley numbers every month, and I've noticed across the board, 45% cancellation. And I'm wondering, in your opinion, what do you think the main reason is? Because when you go into escrow, you know what interest rate it is. Most of the
Right.
time. It's not like a shocker. What do you think? I think it's-
Some of them aren't selling instantly, and some of them are recalibrated. They see these interest rates that are gone up. They might not have even sat with somebody to figure out if this is what we want to do. As far as if we're meeting with sellers and want to go do something, they should probably talk to a lender to make sure that they know what they qualify for and all that stuff. So we have to do a lot of due diligence on the front end of it to make things right. So that's what I think that's a piece of it, but they're not really approaching it realistically. So, yeah.
You said that also that a lot of that some of the distressed sales were distressed sales like so many people have equity.
Yeah, there's always distress. In every market, you scratch your head and go, how can there be any distress? Actually, the delinquency rate is at all-time lows, but there's still some distress. Before, there was none. We're comparing it to when they shut it off completely. You couldn't do it at all. There's some people that die. There's some people that die and the kids can't get their act together and then they foreclose on it. I don't know if you've seen that. I've actually seen that. That kind of stuff happens. So or people get sick. There's different things that happen. There's different life circumstances that there will always be distress. There just will not be a wave. We're not going to do a whole bunch of short sales. We're coming off of these extreme lows and everybody's looking pretty healthy, but there will be some. And we're not going to, yes. Yeah, or if you see it, just be with somebody that really knows their stuff, because when we got down to 5% interest rate, every time we got down to 5%, I was telling everybody lock at 5%, because it overall, we know what the Fed's going to do. So we'll just have to continue to watch. There's not going to be a crash in the market. That's not going to happen. There's not going to be a wave of foreclosures or short sales. That's not going to happen. There's not going to be any panic selling. Nobody's going to panic out there, because the overall market's pretty darn, the housing stock's pretty strong. So housing is not a commodity. We need to understand that. Everybody's saying, well, look what's going on with Wall Street. You have to have a roof over your head. It's not a commodity. You got to, if you sell your house, you got to go rent something or move in with your mom and dad or something like that. I'm never going to do that. So housing is not a commodity. We need to understand that. That's not going to happen. There's going to be no panic selling. As far as a bubble, I used to say it's not a bubble. The interest rates have risen up so much that it has inflated its own bubble in housing across the United States. It's the Fed's induced this thing because they want to see that it starts to go down values, and they're getting what they want because values are coming down. I showed you a slight seller market, but guess what values are doing right now? They're going down. But overall, housing is strong. It's the lowest leverage of all time across the United States. It's record tappable equity still to this day. That means you can tap your equity and still have 20% in your house. It's at an all-time record. Strong credit, good jobs. Doesn't sound like, and right now unemployment actually went down. So where are we going to get this wave of anything? So I used to say that I didn't see a top. I see a top. The higher interest rates got, the more you see a top. It's like, yes, but if interest rates come down, then what happens? The top goes away and continues to go up.
So we're still short housing for our own kids eventually.
Yes.
And we're still stuck in this weird, Gary Keller calls it a race at the bottom. How low can prices go and how high can rates hit before the people really start hitting that motivation button to make that move?
Yeah.
We're just not seeing that happen, to your point.
Yeah, there's not going to be there shouldn't be a panic out there. You need a roof over your head, and rents are super high. So, and the new construction, by the way, new construction, they say there's a giant inventory.
Yeah.
Tell me where the giant inventory is completed. It's everything in the pipeline is what they talk about in that inventory. It is the dumbest statistic of all time. Just understand that. But there will be more coming along. But how many new home areas are around here? None. Yeah, so don't worry about it. It doesn't really affect us. It affects places like Texas and yeah, different places. It does definitely.
Supply chain issue for
Supply chain issue because things slowed down enough has been evaporating. Now all of a sudden they're able to put everything together, but they're not doing new permits. No, that's one of my flags that went up for recession. They're not pulling out brand new permits, so things are going to really slow down. And to your point, they're going to stop building once they get to a certain point. They just had a big backlog, which is why they couldn't put everything together. So really we're in a slight seller's market where we are in the market as far as where the metrics show. That's what the metrics show, but it is behaving like a buyer's market, slight buyer's market, where they get to take their time. And there's a reason for that, because they've done their homework. They're very savvy. The few buyers that remain don't want to rush, and they don't want to overpay. They don't want to stretch. They don't want to pay any of these frothy sales from this year. They don't. Anybody that paid $200,000 in a neighborhood and they see all the comps, they see this one that was $100,000, $200,000 above. Who in their right mind would want to go, okay, yeah, I'm paying that? Who? Nobody. And that's what's happening. So that's why you're seeing values coming down, especially this year. By the time we get to the end of this year, it'll be 0% year over year as far as the gain in equity. So there will be a tug of war between buyers and sellers. Buyers have a little bit of extra wiggle room because there aren't as many buyers they're competing against. Even though there aren't that many homes for them to find, and the homes that they are looking at out there, the dogs that have accumulated, the homes that back to busy streets or have inferior locations, there's more of those that are out there where you look at that and you go, ew, they're thinking the same thing. So my economic model, that last slide was because it's broken. And the reason why, not my economic model, but the economic model of supply and demand is broken, and it's all because of this. Affordability. Affordability broke that. It got such an outrageous, what Gary Keller was talking about, so outrageous that it's now pushing down values because it got so out of hand. So buyers are approaching this thing cautiously, and prices are slowly going down. They're not plummeting or anything like that, because there's a real stickiness to what homeowner is going to say, yeah, you can have this for 10% off, 15% off. That's just not the way homeowners are going to approach it. So there's a real pricing strategy, and that is go over all the comps. Like I said, spend several hours with your initial seller consultation, because here it is. If it doesn't look like a model, smell like a model, have a model location, then detract. You have to subtract from value. I don't care if it is their house, they have to pull all those emotions out of there, and it's got to look like a model. And we take into consideration all those old things that we didn't even have to do for like 2 years, called a condition, called location, called upgrades, called amenities, called age. That all factors into everything. You know, brand new neighborhood versus an old neighborhood in a nice house, still you got to subtract from value. So, and then throw out the frothy comps. Please, you can't look at these frothy comps that are in an area, because they'll drive all over the place and wait for something to come on that is a good value, and they'll take that, and that property that's priced based upon a frothy comp is not going to sell. So my market overview will get you to what the forecast is. There's a new normal. The new normal is 2020 was a weird year, right? 2021, weird. 2022, weird. What do you think 2023 is going to be? Weird, period. Couldn't come up with a better adjective other than weird. That's what we're going to deal with, is a weird. It's the new normal. But I'm here to tell you this. I've been doing this long enough, and I knocked on doors, like I said, back in 1991, so I didn't know any better. If you're brand new in this market, this is the best time to be doing it, because you don't know any better. So just go kill it, go crush it. That's what happens. Yeah, everybody else sits over there and they start panicking. I'm not doing what I did last year. I'm brand new. I don't even know what last year looked like. So that's what was so great. People were saying, you should have seen it was like in 88. I don't know. I was in the middle of college, so knocking on doors in 91. The cream rises to the top always. Always there's people looking at somebody going, how in the world are they doing so well? You know how they're doing well? They're out there doing what it takes and crushing it and not knowing any better and just going and doing it. And those are the people that always do well regardless of the marketplace. So the sales above list price ratio is right now at 32.4%. We hit an all-time high in April of 72.8% of everything that closed in April in the state of California sold above their asking price. It is now down to normal. You want to know what normal is? Prior to the pandemic, the highest we ever got to is 40%. Last year we got above 70% for 3 months. This year we did it for 1 month and we hit an all-time high, but then it's coming down. And now look at it, it's at 32.4%. It's called normal. That's fantastic. Median time on market's at 19 days. It hit an all-time low of 7 days, and now it's at 19 days. This is everything that's sold, though. So understand that this is always less than what the marketplace is, because these are people that know how to price their property right and sell fast, versus everybody that's stagnating on the market, and many will cancel and withdraw. The sales to list price ratio finally went below 100, 98.4%, for the first time since June of 2020. And this is the slide for this from California Association of Realtors to look at. You can see that Himalayas up there. That's not normal. We're not supposed to sell above asking price. And we were doing it for over 2 years straight. So now we are in a normal marketplace. And this is Case Shiller. Know that this is really old. They did July. Know what this means. Understand when everybody talks about this, this is for the 3 months, May, June, and July. At the end of this month, we will get August, which is June, July, August. That one's going to be the first time without any frothy stuff, and we're really going to see the values come down, because right now it's down to 15.8%. Really, it should be about 10% right now, and in certain areas like us, we're going to be down will be 0% year over year by the time it gets to the end of the year. But just for the 2 months of May and June, LA County is down almost 2% for those 2 months, and that's taken into consideration from frothy months. So we are going down. Case-Shiller is the most accurate because it takes like for like properties and looks at it. And LA County is down 21% year over year in comparing it to the unicorn year of last year. That's just the unicorn year where we did the most since 2005 and it was the biggest volume ever of all time. Compared to 2019, we're down 5%. Compared to 2018, we're down 9%. And compared to 2020, we're actually up 7%. So let's just put it all in there's still stuff going on. This is headline stuff. Don't look at the headlines. Just go out there and crush it. So luxury. Luxury is a top 10% of all of the county is 2 million plus. And right now, 2022 is down 9% compared to 2021. You could see that we were more, and then all of a sudden we hit June and it was less, and now it's getting far less. This is the month of September, far less than last year. But overall, this is the second best of all time, above 2 million. Luxury has caught a cold because of what's going on in Wall Street and the financial markets. And year over year luxury inventories up 15% or an extra 266. And demand is at 341, down 39 or down 217 pending sales. The expected market time is at 185 days. It was at 99 last year. So now you're starting to feel this is normal for luxury. Luxury was seriously way hotter than I had ever seen in my entire life. So this is more normal at 185 days plus. So it should take longer. Remember, you have to take a 1-year contract with some of these people. I don't know if you want to hang out with some of these people for 1 year yet, but make sure you really like them and they'll listen, especially right now. So my forecast for 2023 looks like this. All right, we're going to look into this crystal ball and I don't know. I don't know. I'll take my time. I don't know what's around the corner. It could be a cow. It must go down. It could be a human being. I don't want to hit a human being either. So I'm slowing way down. So my 2023 concerns are uncertainty. She's been on my slide for years. And last year I was even kidding prior to doing it that in the end of 2020 that I was talking about UFO invasion just as a joke. And then we started talking about UFOs. So I'm no longer joking. So I don't really know what's around the corner. Battle of inflation is a concern of mine. I think we're going to be dealing with inflation for the better part of this decade. It's going to be very hard to get a handle on inflation because of everything that's going on in the world and the deglobalization. We were globalizing everything and now we're becoming more sovereign. It's changing things that messes things up. Rates remain high. That's a concern. Fed overshoots, causes a deeper recession. I think this is where they're headed. They are going way too fast, way too hard, and it's the biggest change ever. So know that because they're doing this, that it's going to have some ramifications and probably they will overshoot, but they'd rather overshoot than undershoot and deal with the overall inflation problem for years. So we're just going to have to stomach it, knock on more doors, shake more trees, that type of thing. So job openings remain too hot. Still 10 million is too high. Hunker down trend deepens. This is a concern of mine that people say, I'm not going to move, I don't need to move, that type of thing. Good, that's me. Global turmoil. Yeah, there's even an election that's going on in South America that can disrupt global supply chains besides Ukraine's global supply chain disruption. And like supply chain is an issue with mine. Distress rises slightly, no wave is my forecast. Normal housing season, spring is best. Summer, when we close them, but the summer is, as far as new activity, is second best. And then it goes to autumn, then it's winter, and slowest is holiday. Muted demand continues due to persistent high rates. Low inventory to start the year, under 8,000. I had to recalibrate this. It was going to be even lower, but because of what happened with interest rates over the last 4 weeks, this is actually, we're going to get a few more homes. Rise in inventory eclipsing 12,000 homes, still not normal, but getting there. We're making decent strides. Homeowners continue to hunker down. I just hope that they don't hunker down to the point where we don't get to 12,000 homes, because that's where I want to be for LA County. Luxury continues to decelerate as years progresses, especially second half of 2023. And then closed sales down 10 to 12%. Know this, it's only because we did a lot in the first part of this year. We're off 25% of normal right now. That still means we're doing 75% of the transaction, which just means that you just got to knock on more doors again, shake more trees. That's it, period. You do that and it's the smartest thing you can do and you will do more transactions and people wonder what you do. So buyers extremely cautious and not willing to stretch. You understand that. If you were a buyer today, would you be willing to stretch? So there, you got to put yourself in the buyer's shoes at this point. Home values drop in 2023 down 8-12%. I know that sounds huge, but remember we went up like 42% in value over the pandemic. So we have some room to give.
Not huge compared to the interest rate though, and
Right.
the more you're paying per month.
No, exactly. So the people that are in there, interest rates will probably eventually go down. I don't know. So interest rates between 4.5% to 7.5%. How can we get to 4.5%? That's if the Fed pivots, which the potential happens with a lot of pressure when people start really they lose their jobs and there's pressure from both sides of the aisle. Everybody out there, consumers and all that stuff, they're going to have a hard time continuing to throttle this, but they may. You never know. So 4.5% to 7.5%. Yes.
Is it national or LA County?
That was for this is for LA County. Interest rates are national.
LA County 8 to 4%.
Yes. Yeah, because we're going down to 0 right now. We went up and at the rate that we're going right now, about 8 to 12%. So, but that's not bad. Like I said, you got to put this all in perspective because these people, they saw their equity go up. They checked Zillow and said, yeah, look at me, I'm doing awesome. We need to remember where they were prior to the pandemic. They're still way up. They're just going to come down a little bit. It's all monopoly money anyways. You just, you had to go to jail or you had to pay $200. You couldn't let go, whatever. That's monopoly money because at the end of the day, you still have a big wad of cash. That's the way that the homeowner is right now today.
Do you have any kind of forecast on what rental prices might be doing?
Flat.
Flat, okay.
Yeah, because when all this happens and there's a lot of chaos and there's uncertainty, all of a sudden everybody goes, and then family formation is not happening quite at the same clip that it was over the last several years. There's still a lot of millennials that are coming into they're getting married and they're creating families and stuff like that. There's plenty of that that's going out there, but it's being offset by the number of multifamily homes that are being built right now too. And those are all slowly but surely now they're all finally being built. Supply chains are being fixed and we're going to get a lot of supply on the multifamily level, which is going to fix things, which is what we need for CPI to come down from where it's at right now today. By the way, I do a housing debrief every Thursday at 3 p.m. You go to Reports on Housing on Facebook or YouTube, and they're all housed at YouTube. You can see all my old stuff. And if you don't like seeing my kids, too bad. My kids are on there. You can fast forward right past it, fast forward my commercials and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do it with them. So, but I have had people comment, I don't like seeing your kids go fast forward. Seriously, I have none.
Don't come to my.
Seriously, and they actually, you'll see that in the comment section. So I don't really care because I love my family more than I love the people that comment.
Yeah.
Lots of people, free content. You can go there, Reports on Housing. There's the scoop. It's all for SoCal and reportsonhousing.com. You click on subscribe. I'll send you out the most recent one. It has a whole bunch of links at the very, very bottom. It's every 2 weeks that it comes out. It's $15 per month or $150 per year. Please don't take this and share it with the whole entire office because remember, I have lots of kids. And they got one's in college. I've got a lot of kids. Seriously. First month free, bruh. Go ahead. I have this form you guys can fill out and I can take any questions. Does anybody want to subscribe to my report? Anybody in here?
I'll take.
I'll say he's gonna again in November.
Oh, yeah. So that's already built into the system. So what the increase in the short term rate is already built into it. Yes,
All county.
I do. I guess I'm gonna help you start it up. You gonna help me? So what's in the Federal Reserve is going to be doing some stuff with the short-term interest rate. It's already baked into the system. Baked into the system is getting to 4.5% by next year. What keeps on happening is they keep changing every single time that they talk, and every time they talk, the numbers, the dot plot get higher and higher. We have to absorb that, and that's what's been going on. That's why interest rates have been rising from 5s to 6s to towards 7. So know that it's already baked in the system what they've talked about. If they change, all of a sudden say, okay, I think we've done enough, and they're not going to go to 4.5, interest rates could come down a little bit. So it just depends upon what they say, which is why I say it's a progressive model that I have, because it all predicates what the charts look like and what the Fed does. Any other questions? That's a great question.
Yeah. How would possibly a war affect the real estate market?
How would a war, it depends on where this war is at.
Like, Russia. Russia-
Yeah, well, that kind of disrupts the supply chain. That's another thing that was disruptive in the supply chains. If all of a sudden, kumbaya, Russia and Ukraine were to figure things out and that would just stop, gasoline prices would drop. Would that be a good thing?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but recently, California, we've really taken it on the chin.
Yeah.
And it's because of these refineries. I think that's a bunch of bunk. I think it's what we refer to as an oligopoly, where they all get together and they figure out how to mess with us even more, so that we can get used to these higher gas prices. There's supposed to be a good blend, and they're trying to get the good blend to come right now, but they're having refinery issues right now. All of a sudden, at the same time that they were talking about that. Yeah, seriously. So, yeah, so know that, it just depends. If that was to get solved, yes, we would see, gas prices. If it was to escalate and get worse, can't get much worse as far as gas prices are concerned, but there could be other, it could go other directions too with that war. And I don't know, China, can't rule out what's going on with China and their little island. And if that was to erupt, that would be a global supply chain shock. So there's a lot of things, the moving parts globally. That's why I have that as one of my concerns, global. Because it would disrupt everything. Because what happens? Interest rates go higher, fight inflation. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all hanging in there, right? Was this great information?
Yes.
We love
Oh, by
having.
the way, yeah, give me your card. Somebody gets this.
And Christine,
I know, I like, I gotta get.
Thanks.
all right, awesome. Thank you. Hey, before I know it's been a long morning and a lot of great information. Paul, you guys all know Paul Morris, right? Our OPE owner, blah, blah, blah.
I'm going overpriced.
You want to say anything?
Sure. So, so it's a phenomenal presentation. Very, very useful information. And I'll say it while you're still here, because I was econ undergrad, and I think it's a President Truman quote. He said, you know, what we need is a one-handed economist. And do you know why Truman said we need a one-handed economist?
Yeah.
Because economists are always explaining things, and then they go, but on the other hand, right? And you know, and I spent a lot of years studying economics. And some of this was like, I still scratch my head a little bit. So I wonder how it affects other people that don't, so you're reading headlines, clients are reading headlines. And I'm feeling it myself even firsthand, where I have a friend who's, so for example, events-based sales are going to happen anyway. Event-based sale would be somebody's moving, there's a divorce, those death in the family, those sorts of things are going to happen in every single market. And it is true that people are holding on longer. I was even scratching my head. I don't know the answer to this. But when I was looking at some of the places that have such a long tail on the sales, I'm like, geez, I wonder if like the really wealthy neighborhoods, it's taking longer to sell because they can afford to hold on longer. I don't really know the answer to that. But it's a thought. And I think that sort of thought goes really from house to house. Do people have the wherewithal? If you move, you've got to move. So I'm seeing it firsthand, even to the point where I have a friend who has gotten a divorce. He needs a new home. He can afford a new home, and he's already working with an agent at Keller Williams. But I said, look, any help you want, I'll guide you through the process. I'm not going to do a referral fee or whatever. It's all good, but whatever help you need. And it's been. So I've been through the madness firsthand. So he has all these questions like, oh, well, aren't interest rates going to go down? And he hears all of these things that, oh, I'll buy now, I'll refi later. Is that a smart idea? Oh, geez, I want to do what you did, meaning me, and buy a value add house. So over time I can build equity. That's great. But I really don't want to buy the dog. So, right. And now you guys are like, Paul's experience, finally, what we're dealing with every single day in every market. It wasn't long ago that that I heard, I didn't feel this pain directly, but people were always saying, I have a qualified buyer. They want to pay, they're willing to pay full price. And there's 10 offers on the house, we didn't get it. And this is the third one that we've looked at. So this was the moment that they were waiting for. And now that we're in this moment, the same people are saying, well, now we can get the house at 98.4% of listing price, but things have changed so much and the affordability has changed so much. And my bottom line for the takeaway, and and there's a lot of very smart people in the room, so feel free to agree or disagree, is to arm yourself with the information. Understand so that you can have a good and reasonable conversation with your clients. I don't know the answer, and I studied economics, and I read the headlines, which make things even more confusing. I do believe that your reports and the explanations that you've written on certain, there's just the topic headlines. I'm like, oh, I want to read that. I want to read that. If you don't have the answer necessarily, but you can provide them with a resource, I think that would be great. So is there going to be a housing bust? And then you send them the article that says, is there going to be a housing bust, which is one of the articles. I think it's very topical, very, very useful. And one of the things that I always talk about is there's nothing in national markets. There's nothing happening outside of this office that will impact your individual business more than the things that you do. And Philip was talking about it's what Philip was saying. Do we have to pivot a little bit? So again, like, to go after expired or canceled listings, at one point in time when listings were flying off the shelf, it's not what people were doing. It didn't make sense to do, but there were people who really knew how to do that. Real estate's a great opportunity because if you've never done that before, you can look at the YouTubes, you can get the coaching, you can do whatever you need to do. We can provide the coaching here on how to really move on that. So what's the scripts? What are the best ways to go after an expired? What are the, what if it's canceled? What do we do in a for sale by owner situation? So these are the things that you can really do to pivot your business. This is definitely going to be a much more skill-based market. There's no question about it. Just like you were saying about if somebody's just got in the market now and they're looking at a house and they didn't know what it was a little while ago, the market would make sense to them. It's people that have a little bit of, have been looking around for not that long, 7-8 months, that really are having the problem, which I totally get. Same thing with realtors, except for on a bigger scale. So a longer scale timeline. So if you've been prospering in a market that's very frothy, it's different now. If you're getting into real estate right now, there's not going to be, you're going to see there'll be a lag, but people aren't going to be running into real estate like they were before. So the in the last, big correction, I think we were at 1.4 million realtors in NAR. I think it went all the way down to like 800,000 or so. It's massive. You guys are fact checking on that, but you get the idea. Again, it's a very similar thing going on where you have someone, there's so many realtors out there chasing so few deals that the skills-based realtors are saying, oh, it's my client, they used me on the last 2 buys, but now their niece is a realtor, and people are like, yeah, if you've been in the business a while, you're skills-based, you're like, yeah, that's happening. That's going to happen a lot less. The focus is going to be on people that are spending the time people are going to be able to pick up market share. The one and done folks will end up out of the business. And it just is what it is. It's hard to say, wow, isn't this great? But this is what it is. And I will say that having been in the brokerage business through 2008, it's going to be, I think we all agree, it's going to be different than 2008, and that's a good thing. And I was in the brokerage business through 2008 when so many brokers went out of business, and people always used to say like, oh, you're in real estate, are you okay? And I'm like, well, I have a long answer to that, but this is a cocktail party and I don't think they're really interested. So I had to come up with the cocktail party version, which was actually, I'm having my best year ever. And that's the end of the conversation. Unless they're interested, then we can have a full conversation. And that was true. And that was true straight through 2008. So during the boom, 2005, 4, 5, 6, I was doing better every year. But 2007, 8, 9, 10, 2010, I did better than 2009, did better than 2008. Not many people can say that. The reason why I can say that is because of this business model. So it's not just me like, oh, I'm outsmarting the crowd. It's this business model, staying on the train tracks, doing the one thing that makes the biggest difference in your business. And the one thing that makes the biggest difference in your business is lead generation, full stop, period. Do we pivot that a little bit? Yes. Time blocking 2 or 3 hours a day to lead generate is going to make all the difference in the world. And that's why, we are focusing more and more on, providing the tools and stuff that help realtors in that shift. Just accountability and coaching and flow coaching, which we have, and I'm starting to introduce some real accountability with the numbers. Or if you have a coach, the first thing people do is cut a coach, right? And I'm not making any money on coaching, so it's not a bias, but whatever it takes for you to be accountable and stay to your thing. And I know that with this group and doing the things that I know we can do, we will survive and thrive in this market. It's phenomenal to have this information, but this information is just so you can have a reasonable conversation with your clients. And then the next thing to do is just get out there and make it happen. And I know that we've got the right team to do that. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good. So. Let's say this.
Do
Huh?
Josh, do you agree, disagree? You agree or disagree? I mean, we can do, there's not one person in this room who can't do better. I think we all agree times are weird. Times are going to be weird. There's not one person in this room that can't do better the coming year when times are weird than they did the year before, or the year before that.
Yeah, I mean, for like, even with Philip said, what I focus on what you control, understand that it's important. We're going to ask a lot of questions, and that's how we're still confident in our clients that we know what's going on around us. But at the end of the day, it's all about your action, right? And there's opportunity in every market. So for me, I tune out a lot of the noise and I just focus on what I can control, which is having as many conversations with good quality people, asking them good questions, understanding where they are and where they want to go, and then helping, hopefully, them seeing that you can be the vehicle for their success. Don't overcomplicate, and whoever's most disciplined and consistent in making that happen is the one who's going to create the most opportunity for themselves.
And my buyer friend told our realtor, you know what? I'm just gonna wait a little while, but I need something now, so I'm gonna look for a short-term rental. What do you think that process looks like? Okay, he hasn't come to the end of that yet, but he's already seeing it. He's like, wow, everything's so expensive. It's I'm looking at 10 grand for crap, and I really only want month to month. I'm like, keep looking. Because then you get somebody, do they really need to, and then he wants to look at great houses. He's like, well, we showed him a couple of great houses that came on the market. Guess what?
those are the ones that are going to sell right away. It might not be in multiple, it might not be, 10 or 15% over asking, but they're gonna get full price or very close to it. And they're going, that's somebody that's really priced their house well.
Yeah, it looks like a model.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. That's it. So Christine wants to do a quick little plug. Our Thank you, October Paul. book club is October 25th, and that's 2 weeks from now. We still have one free book, but I encourage everybody to some a quick easy read. Eat That Frog, 21 Great Ways to Stop Procrastinating and to do it all in our time. And then I'm going to also announce, so Paul knows, that we are doing a very special book for November. It'll be the last book of the year, and we're doing Paul's book. So I'm very excited.
Looking forward to that. That's
Yeah.
what I've read.
Yeah. Yeah, and also you guys, just tell you to the last, couple book clubs, we've had people that just came for the discussion part, and that's really what it's morphed into this year. And like this room was full, and it was amazing, and so come, even if you didn't read the book, but I really do encourage you to read the book. I mean, this is book number 10, we're doing 11 books this year, and I kind of want to continue it again next year. So, I encourage you guys to come. Thank you.
Steve, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Very helpful. Get some charts and stuff from Steve and materials, so you'll have a shorthand on what's going on.
I'll send it, get the overpriced. That's what happened there in the front row.
Nice. So, thank you.